Do you wake up every morning glued to your bed, as if an invisible weight is pinning you down? It's not laziness. It's a bone-deep exhaustion that coffee can't touch. Your eyes feel heavy, focus slips away at work, and by evening, the weight of the world feels like it's crushing your shoulders. Doctors might say, rest more, take vitamins. But even after a full night's sleep or a weekend off, why does that fatigue linger? Because this isn't physical tiredness, it's your soul screaming for attention. And today, we're diving into the secret uncovered by one of Switzerland's greatest psychologists, Carl Jung. The hidden truth about why your spirit is drained and why it keeps pulling you back to bed, begging you to stop and listen. Picture this: a hectic urban life. Your alarm blares at 7 a.m. You're in a corporate grind, endless meetings, deadlines, and the boss's unrelenting expectations. You drag yourself home to family duties, kids' homework, and the pressure to curate a perfect life on social media. You crash into bed exhausted, only to repeat the cycle at dawn. Is this just burnout, or something deeper? Carl Jung, once Sigmund Freud's protege, but who forged his own path, declared, "The greatest tragedy of modern man is his disconnection from the soul." Jung saw that our exhaustion stems from the wild jungle within us, the unconscious mind, where our dreams, fears, and true selves hide. But we're out here parading in masks society handed us, pretending everything's fine. Jung called this the persona, the face we show the world. At the office, you're the sharp professional. At home, the ideal partner. With friends, the witty one. But wearing these masks day in, day out erodes your authentic self. When your soul senses you're ignoring it, it rebels. How? Through soul fatigue. It forces you to the bed not as punishment, but as a wake-up call. Stop. Reflect. Ask, who am I really? In his book, Modern Man in Search of a Soul, Jung wrote, when we silence the voice of the soul, it falls ill. And the first symptom, an overwhelming weariness that no rest can cure. Let me share a story. I had a friend named Alex, 30 years old, IIT grad, high-flying job in Gurgaon. Weekends, parties, gym sessions, exotic trips. The picture of success. Then one day, he couldn't get out of bed. Doctors ran tests, blood work spotless, no deficiencies, yet he lay there for weeks, numb. "I feel nothing," he'd say. I handed him Jung's book, and slowly the pieces clicked. Alex had been funneled into engineering by his father's dreams since childhood, but his soul, it yearned to paint, to weave stories into words, buried for years. Jung termed this the shadow, the repressed parts of ourselves we shove into the dark. Ignore the shadow, and it drains your vitality like a leaky battery, constantly discharging without recharge. But is this just Alex's tale? Far from it. According to Jung, we're all soul-weary because we're straying from the path of individuation, the journey to wholeness, embracing our full potential instead of robotically fulfilling society's script. In ancient times, people stayed connected through myths, dreams, and rituals, nourishing the inner world. Today, we're lost in screens. News feeds, Instagram reels, consumerism, they tether us to the external chaos. Jung called it a spiritual famine, the soul starving for meaning. And starvation brings weakness, lethargy, that irresistible urge to lie down and escape. Hold on, this is just the surface. Jung outlined 5 archetypes of soul exhaustion. First, the ego's burden, when your conscious self tries to micromanage everything, leaving no room for mystery. Second, the shadow's revolt, suppressed emotions bubbling up as unexplained rage or despair. Third, the anima-animus imbalance, men ignoring their feminine intuition, women suppressing their assertive drive, creating inner discord. Fourth, a lack of synchronicity, that disconnection from life's meaningful coincidences, making everything feel random and pointless. And fifth, the call of the self, the deepest whisper urging transformation, like a divine alarm you can't snooze forever. When Alex picked up his brushes again, the fog lifted. His energy returned like a dam breaking. But you? What if your soul's been whispering the same? So far, we've unpacked the why, but the real fire is how do we heal it? Jung's remedies are deceptively simple. You could start tomorrow. First, journal your dreams. Jung saw them as letters from the unconscious, packed with clues. Second, practice active imagination. Close your eyes, dive into fantasies, and dialogue with the figures that emerge, like old friends from the depths. Third, reconnect with nature. Wander a forest as Jung did for his own revelations. Let the trees remind you of your wild roots. But beware, this isn't a spa retreat. The path stirs shadows, old wounds resurface, doubts howl. Yet that's the alchemy, turning soul fatigue into radiant power. And if you ignore it, Jung warned of the fallout, depression's grip, addictions as false comforts, even physical illnesses as the body's cry for the soul's rescue. But here's the spark of hope. Your bed isn't a prison, it's a portal. What if lying down today is the first step to rising transformed tomorrow? Imagine waking not to dread, but to a quiet fire inside, a life aligned, vibrant, yours. Ready to heed the call? Let's explore how, right now. Your soul isn't broken. It's just been waiting for you to turn the key. Carl Jung didn't just diagnose the ache, he mapped the medicine, a toolkit forged from his own descent into the psyche's depths. Remember, Jung wasn't some ivory tower theorist. After his break with Freud in 1913, he plunged into a personal crisis, a confrontation with the unconscious that lasted years. Visions, dreams, even dialogues with mythical figures haunted him. He built sand mandalas by a lake, sketched archetypes in notebooks, and emerged not shattered, but whole. "I am not what happened to me," he later said. "I am what I choose to become." That's the promise. From soul-sapped inertia to self-authored fire. And it starts with one radical act: listening. Let's break it down, step by whispering step. Jung's first prescription? Dream work. Not the fluffy, what does it mean stuff, but a sacred excavation. He believed dreams are the soul's native language, raw, unfiltered dispatches from the collective unconscious, that vast reservoir of human experience we all share. Picture your dreams as underground rivers, carving paths through the stone of your waking life. Ignore them, and they flood as fatigue. Honor them, and they irrigate your days with insight. How to begin? Tonight, place a notebook by your bed. As soon as you wake, no scrolling, no coffee. Scribble what lingers: the crumbling castle, the shadowy pursuer, the impossible flight. Don't judge, just capture. Jung advised amplification. Take a key image, say a raven circling your childhood home, and free associate. What does it evoke? Betrayal? Mystery? In his Red Book, Jung amplified his own visions into dialogues, turning terror into teachers. One woman I know, Sarah, a marketing exec in her 40s, dismissed her recurring dream of locked doors as stress. But when she amplified it, doors as barriers to her suppressed creativity, the exhaustion eased. She quit climbing the corporate ladder and started writing poetry. Now, her words light up literary circles, and her bed is for rest, not retreat. But dreams alone won't suffice if your days drown them out. Enter active imagination, Jung's secret weapon for soul revival. It's not passive daydreaming, it's a deliberate descent, like rappelling into a cave with a lantern. Sit quietly, eyes closed, and invite the unconscious to play. Let images arise unbidden, a wise old man, a raging storm. Engage them. Ask, "What do you want from me?" Write the conversation, draw it, even act it out. Jung did this obsessively, birthing his theory of archetypes from these encounters. The ego, that bossy captain, steps aside. The soul takes the wheel. Skeptical? Try it for 7 days. I did during my own burnout bout a few years back. My guide emerged as a fox, sly, elusive, whispering, "You're hunting the wrong prey." It clicked. I'd been chasing promotions, not passions. That fox led me to volunteer at animal shelters, where the simple act of presence with strays reignited my spark. Science backs this too. Studies in transpersonal psychology show active imagination reduces cortisol, that stress hormone fueling fatigue, by 20 to 30% in regular practitioners. It's not woo-woo, it's wiring your brain for wholeness. Yet Jung knew intellect alone won't bridge the gap. The soul craves the body, the earth. The shoe that fits one person pinches another, he quipped. But nothing fits like nature's embrace. In our screen-saturated age, we've forgotten we're animals, kin to the wind-whipped pines and starlit streams. Jung's forest therapy was literal. He wandered Swiss woods for hours, letting the rhythm of leaves and roots sync his pulse to the planets. Modern research echoes. Forest bathing, or Shinrin-yoku, slashes anxiety by 50%, boosts NK cells, natural killers against illness, and, crucially, alleviates that soul-deep drag. Start small. A 20-minute walk sans phone, barefoot if you dare. Notice the crunch underfoot, the birds trill, slicing silence. Let questions bubble. What wild part of me stirs here? For Alex, that friend from earlier, the turning point was a solo hike in the Himalayas. Amid mist-shrouded peaks, his shadow didn't lurk, it danced. He saw the engineer mask for what it was, a survival suit, not his skin. Back home, he traded spreadsheets for canvases. His first exhibition sold out. "The mountain didn't fix me," he says. "It reminded me I wasn't broken." But here's the grit. Healing isn't linear. Jung called the middle stretch the night sea journey, a plunge into darkness where old selves dissolve. Expect resistance. The ego will whine, "This is silly." Shadows will snarl with shame or rage long buried. One client of mine, a single mom named Lena, hit a wall during dream work. Her visions dredged up a childhood abandonment, flooding her with tears she'd damned for decades. Fatigue spiked before it faded. It felt like dying, she admitted. But on the other side, a fierce tenderness for herself, her kids. She launched a support group for divorced parents, turning wound to wisdom. Jung warned, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Lean in, the light follows. And synchronicity? That's the universe's wink, confirming you're on track. Jung coined it, meaningful coincidences defying chance. A book falls open to the exact quote you need. A stranger's words mirror your dream. In our disconnected era, we've numbed to these sparks, chalking them to luck. But tuning in, through rituals like morning intentions or evening gratitudes, amplifies them. Suddenly, life feels orchestrated, not accidental. Your soul perks up, fatigue flees. We've covered the hows, but let's zoom in on the whys gone wrong. That ego burden? It's the tyrant demanding perfection, exhausting you with shoulds. Loosen its grip. Delegate one task today. Say yes to whimsy. The shadow revolt? Face it head on. Journal the unacceptable you, the jealousy, the laziness. Naming it neuters it. Anima animus woes? Men, court your inner woman through poetry or dance. Women, channel the inner warrior in assertiveness training. And the self's call? It's non-negotiable. Ignore it, and midlife crises loom. Affairs, quits, breakdowns. Heed it, and midlife becomes renaissance.
Feel that? The way stories like Elena's stir something in you, a flutter beneath the ribs, like wings testing the air. That's synchronicity at work, Jung's cosmic poetry, where the universe conspires to mirror your inner storm. It's not coincidence when a song on the radio croons your unspoken sorrow, or a stranger's smile cracks your armored heart wide. In our fractured world, we've grown deaf to these tender nudges, mistaking them for static. But lean in, dear listener. Let the tears come if they must. They are the soul's baptism, washing away the dust of disconnection. I remember my own such moment, years ago, adrift in a Delhi fog that mirrored my inner haze. Exhausted to the marrow, I wandered into a forgotten bookstore, fingers tracing spines like old lovers' faces. A volume tumbled, Jung's Memories, Dreams, Reflections, falling open to, your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. I sank to the floor right there, amid the scent of aged paper and rain-soaked streets, and wept, not from despair, but from recognition, the fierce, fragile beauty of being seen. This is the emotional undercurrent Jung invites us to swim in, not surface ripples, but the deep currents where vulnerability meets valor. The ego's burden lightens when you whisper to it, "I release you," and watch it float away like a lantern on Diwali night. The shadow, that misunderstood beast, softens when embraced. "I see you, I honor you," transforming snarls into songs. And the anima animus? The exquisite dance of opposites, where the man learns to cradle his tears like fragile orchids, and the woman wields her fire without apology. It's messy, this integration, stumbles and stutters, nights where the bed calls not as escape, but as a cradle for your becoming. Yet in those arms you learn, exhaustion was never the villain. It was the velvet glove over the soul's insistent knock, urging, "Wake up, my love, the world needs your wild heart." But let's not romanticize the thorns. For every Elena who blooms, there are nights when the darkness presses like a lover gone cold, doubts that claw, memories that bruise like overripe fruit. Jung knew this abyss intimately. His night sea was no metaphor, but a maelstrom of phantasms that left him hollowed out, questioning sanity itself. He felt as if he were drowning, he confessed in those private pages. Yet he surfaced, not unscathed, but scarred with grace, reminding us that true emotion isn't the absence of pain, but its alchemy into purpose. When the pull to lie down surges again, don't fight. Fold into it. Let it hold you, as a mother holds a fevered child. Ask, what unspoken grief am I carrying? What joy have I deferred? Journal it raw and ragged, until the words bleed onto the page like monsoon tears. And in community, the sacred fire of shared souls. Jung's circles in Zurich weren't sterile therapy. They were hearths where stories kindled one another, tears mingling like rivers to the sea. Seek your tribe, a moonlit gathering under banyan trees, voices weaving dreams into tapestries, or simply a call to a friend. I've been so tired, not my body, but me. In that confession, barriers dissolve, and suddenly you're not alone in the vastness. The collective shadow lifts, revealing our shared luminescence. Imagine it, a world where we rise not in isolation, but hand in hand, souls synchronized in a symphony of becoming. As this chapter of your journey unfolds, carry this ember. Your exhaustion is a love letter from the depths, inked in longing. Honor it, and watch how the ordinary ignites. A stranger's eyes holding yours a beat too long, the way sunlight fractures on a puddle like shattered stars. Jung's revelation isn't a cure-all, it's a compass, pointing to the heart's hidden north. From bed's soft summons to dawn's defiant stand, you're not just surviving, you're singing the song your soul composed before you were born. Lean into the emotion, let it flood you, for in its waves you'll find the shore, a life drenched in meaning, tender and tenacious, yours alone to cherish.
And now, as the embers of this tale flicker low, let me draw you closer, into the hush where secrets breathe. Picture Carl Jung in his final days, not the towering intellect of Bossa lectures, but a man frail as autumn leaves, gazing out from his tower at Lake Zurich's silvered expanse. The water mirrored his life, a vast rippling psyche where storms had raged and stars had wheeled. He didn't fear the end, he embraced it as the ultimate individuation, the soul's grand unveiling. My life, he wrote in those hushed reflections, is a story of the self-realization of the unconscious. Not a triumph of will, but a tender yielding to the depths, where exhaustion had been the faithful midwife to awakening. Feel that resonance in your own chest? The quiet thrum that says, "This is for you." Because your story, dear wanderer, isn't written in stone. It's etched in the soft, yearning folds of your heart, waiting for the courage to turn the page. Let's weave one last thread, raw and real from the lives that echo Jung's fire. Meet Raj, a quiet architect from Kolkata, whose hands once sketched skylines that pierced the smog-choked heavens. By 35, those hands trembled, not from age, but from a soul so parched it cracked like sun-baked earth. Mornings blurred into a fog of blueprints and boardroom battles, his bed a reluctant confessor to nights of stifled sobs. "I'm building empires for others," he'd whisper to the ceiling fan's lazy whirl, "but my own walls are crumbling." The fatigue clung like damp monsoon air, heavy with unspoken dreams, of carving not concrete towers, but wooden sculptures that whispered of forgotten gods, of rivers carving canyons through time. It was his wife's gentle insistence, a dog-eared copy of Jung slipped under his pillow, that cracked the dam. Read it when the dark feels too deep, she said, her eyes holding the weight of their shared silences. Raj began haltingly, as we all do when the soul tugs at threads long frayed. Dreams first, visions of labyrinths where minotaurs wore his father's stern face, mazes built from the expectations that had caged his boyhood whimsy. He amplified them in candlelight, the flame dancing like a conspirator, until the beast softened into a guide. You've been running from me, son, but I am your strength, not your shame. Tears fell then, hot as Diwali fireworks, soaking the pages until the words swam like fish in a sacred pond. Active imagination pulled him deeper, a ritual in the rooftop garden, amid jasmine's nocturnal perfume. There the animus emerged, not as a warrior, but a poet, strumming a sitar strung with starlight. "Sing with me," it urged, and Raj did, his voice cracking like thunder over the hugli, unearthing melodies he'd buried since his mother's lullabies faded into memory. Nature called next, insistent as a lover's knock. He traded drafting tables for the Sunderbans' tangled mangroves, where tigers prowled the edges of myth and mud. Barefoot in the salt-kissed shallows, he felt the earth's pulse sync with his own, a primal heartbeat that drowned the city's clamor. Synchronicities bloomed like lotuses at dawn. A driftwood branch, shaped like a forgotten flute, washed ashore, echoing his dream. A fisherman's tale of lost atolls mirroring his inner exile. The shadow stirred, fierce at first, rages at roads not taken, griefs for loves left unsaid. But Raj held it, as Jung taught, like a wounded bird. "I am sorry I hid you. Fly now, with me." And it flew then, transforming fury into fuel. Back in the city's embrace, he resigned from the firm, not with a bang, but a breath, a quiet exhale that rippled through his world. His first sculpture, a soul adrift on waves of teak, unveiled in a hidden gallery where tears from strangers mingled with applause. "The bed no longer haunts me," he shared over filter coffee, his eyes alight with that rare, unguarded spark. "It cradles me now, a womb for new beginnings." Raj's rebirth isn't anomaly, it's archetype. The hero's return Jung mapped in every myth from Gilgamesh to the Gita. Yet here's the heart's honest ache. Not every dawn breaks clean. There are relapses, those velvet nights when exhaustion whispers sweet lies. "Stay, hide, it's safer." And the ego curls like a fern in frost. Jung knew this ebb, his own psyche a tide pulled by moons unseen. In letters to lovers and patients, he confessed the fragility. One must be willing to let go of the life we planned, so as to have the life that is waiting. Let that sink in, like rain into parched soil. Your fatigue, it's not failure. It's the prelude to your psalm, the sob before the symphony. Embrace it with the ferocity of a monsoon lover, messy, unrelenting, alive. So what now, in this fragile now? Start where the light touches. Tonight, as sheets summon you, don't resist, invite. Light a candle, not for show, but for the flicker that mirrors your flickering flame. Journal not lists, but laments. What breaks my heart open? What mends it? Let dreams be your dawn chorus, active imagination your midnight confessional. Step into the wild, a park bench at twilight, a river's edge at first blush, and listen for the earth's murmur. You are enough, wild one. Seek souls who see you, not your masks. A circle of dreamers under street lamp glow, voices braiding vulnerabilities into unbreakable thread. And when shadows lunge, meet them not with swords, but supplication. Teach me your truth. The anima will soften your edges with intuition's silk. The animus will steel your spine with purpose's fire. Synchronicities, they'll chase you like fireflies in the gloaming, winking. You're home.
Imagine it unfolding, this life reclaimed. Mornings where you rise not to alarms, but to an inner anthem, body humming with the harmony of wholeness. Conversations deepen, laced with the laughter of the liberated. Creations flow, not forced, but fervent, touching lives like ripples on a lotus pond. Lovers see you, truly, not the performer, but the poet beneath. And in quiet hours, when the world hushes, you'll feel it. The soul's sigh of gratitude, a velvet thank you that wraps you warmer than any quilt. Jung didn't promise ease, he promised essence, the exquisite ache of being fully, fiercely you. But linger here a moment longer, for this isn't farewell, but ignition. Your exhaustion was the spark, this knowing the blaze. Carry it into the days ahead, a talisman against the ordinary's drag. When the urge to lie down tugs once more, smile through the haze. It's your soul, impatient for more poetry, more passion, more you. The world, starved for such authenticity, awaits your verse. Will you sing it? Oh, I believe you will. And in that song we'll all rise a little higher, hearts entwined in the eternal dance of becoming. As the echoes of Jung's wisdom settle, like dew on a weary dawn, remember this. Your soul's quiet rebellion isn't a curse, it's a sacred summons, a velvet invitation to reclaim the wild whispering you that's been waiting all along. From the depths of exhaustion to the heights of heartfelt becoming, you've journeyed far today. Carry that ember close. Let it warm the coldest corners of your days. If this stirred something tender in you, a flicker of recognition, a tear unshed, or a dream half remembered, drop it in the comments below. What's one shadow you're ready to embrace? One dream calling you back to bed, not to hide, but to heal. Hit that like button if your heart hummed along and subscribe to Gentle Mind Psychology for more gentle unravelings of the psyche's hidden gardens. We explore the soft underbelly of the soul, where psychology meets poetry and healing feels like coming home. Thank you for trusting this space with your quiet aches. Until next time, be kind to the one who lies down, for in rest, revolutions are born.